Eurovision broadcaster Lisa Jane Lewis, OK UK President Alistair Rendell, All Out Eurovision.
Well, hi there, everyone. Lisa Jane Lewis here again with the next rehearsal rundown. Today, we are running down the rehearsals of the second half of the second semi-final. And joining me as my guest today is, we lovingly refer to him as El President. He is the president of OGAE, which is the official fan club for the UK. It's Alistair Rendell. Hi, Alistair.
Hello. Hi, Lisa Jane. Good to talk to you.
And you, I feel like it's been, it has been forever since we've seen each other, but we've seen each other online, so I guess that's something.
Yeah. There's been a lot of Eurovision online action over the last 12 months. But it'd be nice to actually see people in person again.
Yeah, absolutely. How's it been as sort of president? You're sort of like the sort of head honcho fan for the UK in an official capacity, and you sort of are the leader of this merry band of fans of Eurovision. How has that been? I mean, I'm sure it's been very different to what you expected when you signed up for the job.
Yes, yeah, didn't expect I'd well, A contest would be cancelled, and then B, we'd all be remote for this one. But it's been good, actually. The fan community's really kind of pulled together. Interestingly, we've actually seen a growth in membership over the last few months. I think that's because because so much has been done online, it's perhaps been seen as a bit more accessible. Sometimes Eurovision can be seen as a bit, not exactly elitist, but if you want to enjoy it properly, people are travelling to national finals, people are travelling to the contest itself. Now, because there's not been any of that over the last few months, people have found it easier just to, join a Zoom party, come to one of our quizzes, just meet fellow fans in a much more relaxed and informal environment.
Yeah, it's been great. I mean, I've joined in. Obviously, I'm the member of the club, and I've joined in with some of the quizzes and some of the activities that have been going on, and it's been really good. So thank you actually for organising all that. It's been really fun.
Partly because I get bored so easily, and if I didn't have these things to do, I'd have gone completely mad by now. So it's kept me sane, if anything else.
Well, there is that too. Yes, absolutely. All right, shall we get on and run down the rehearsals for today, which is the second half of the second semi-final. And just to remind everyone, these are the first rehearsals that we're watching. So this is the first time that the artists have been on the stage, that they've been able to see what it looks like in the actual stage rather than on computer-generated imagery or on a stage that they've been using in their home country. So first rehearsals, and kicking us off this morning, very first thing was Georgia. Alistair, what did you make of the Georgian rehearsal?
Well, see, I don't know how to comment on this one because I had a few technical problems. I only got to the very final run through, and I felt for that final run through, he was kind of just not exactly mucking around with his voice, but he definitely wasn't doing it properly. He was sort of humming along at one point. He was getting all kind of deep voiced. Felt like he was just, trying to get his bearings on the stage and wasn't really focusing on the actual singing. It's a simple, from what I did see, it's a pretty simple act. It's effective. There's moody lighting, which you'd expect for a song like this, but I think I need to wait to see this one in its second run through to get a real feel of what it's going to be like. But blue lighting, and there's a lot of blue lighting this year.
There is a lot of blue, isn't there? Yellow, pink and blue are the colours of the year. I mean, we always get those colours because they are very television friendly and they're very stage friendly. So you're always going to get those in some kind of combination, but it does seem to be more noticeable this year. I agree with you on that front. So I saw this rehearsal for Georgia. Of course, I've seen all of them. And I think one thing we know, we can rely on Georgia to bring an epic LED presentation. Their video content is always fantastic. And that's no exception this year. But as for the performance element of it, I mean, I felt that was a bit lacking, but I'm also really aware that a number of these rehearsals, have spoken about it in the other ones, are just pace and place rehearsals. That's what they're for. They're just getting the pace of the song, how it feels in the arena, and the placement of cameras and lights and all kinds of things like that. So whilst the tech crew have had a chance to do that with the standing rehearsals, the artists haven't had a chance to do that with the tech crew. I feel like it's a bit of a getting to know you kind of rehearsal, and I think you're right, he wasn't.
That's absolutely fine. They need that kind of safe space to kind of get to know what it's like, and where are the cameras, and how does the lighting can look great on paper, but then when you're actually in the arena on the stage, do you actually think, that needs to be a bit darker, or that needs to be a bit brighter? So
absolutely. And those are the kind of things that they can tinker with. There are some things that once you arrive and you've requested something and it's been programmed and set into the mix, then that's it. You can't change that, but that you can change things like lighting levels, sound levels, costume even can be tweaked and changed. So what we're seeing now is very much not the done deal. So I'm asking everyone to just judge based on what they've seen today, which I know is really difficult, whether you think Georgia will qualify or not.
I think it's a miss. I think this is not going to qualify, I'm afraid.
No, I agree with you on that front. I don't think this is going to qualify. I don't think the song is strong enough. And even when he's performing at his best, because we have seen him perform it, I just don't think there's enough there.
Given what else is going on in the semi-final, I just don't see how this is going to make that final 10.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree. Okay, let's move on to the second rehearsal that we had today, which was Albina. I just had Croatia in my mind then. What is wrong with me? Albania. I'm glad Albina is not representing Albania.
That would be confusing.
I don't think I'd be able to do any radio broadcast about it at all. Albania, which was represented by Angela. Oh gosh, it's been a long day, hasn't it?
It's only day 4. I've really lost track of all the sense of time.
I know. What did we make of this rehearsal, Alistair? What did you think?
So coming into the contest, I was a bit kind of, it's Albania doing what Albania do. It's a decent sounding woman, belting out a typical Balkan ballad. And it is, but she does it incredibly well. I mean, this was one of the real standout rehearsals for me, not just today, in fact, of the past 4 days. She's just alone on stage, but she doesn't look alone, or she doesn't look lost. She owns the stage. She's a confident performer, a competent singer. She belts out the vocals. The lighting is really dramatic. It's all kind of red fire and smoke. She doesn't need dancers kind of getting in the way and trying to trip her over. She is the focus, and she owns that stage. And I think this is actually going to do pretty well. We'll come to whether I think it's a qualifier or not in a moment. But this was one of the standouts for me today.
Oh, absolutely. You will not be surprised, because you know my taste in music. You will not be surprised to know that this was very much in my top 10 heading into the contest, because I love nothing more than a Balkan ballad. So I was really excited to see this, and also quite nervous to see this, because you never quite know. We've had so many, what is traditionally called the Balkan ballad, that you kind of think they must be running out of ideas as to how to stage them at some point down in the Balkans, but it appears not yet. So that's fantastic. And I, like you, I was really pleased with this. I was really surprised by it. I knew she could sing it. I knew she could sing it well. And I knew that, they would do something nice with it on stage. But I really think they've elevated what was already a really good song into something that is a real contender for a decent spot.
Yeah, and there was one bit of the performance where there was almost a hint of the fuego about it. I think she did a big hair flip, and then she kind of looked like she was in shadow of the big red background. It was a really striking image.
Nothing wrong with referencing something like fuego.
Absolutely not.
So I mean, I feel like I don't actually need to ask you, but do you think this is going to qualify?
If you'd have asked me this 24 hours ago, I'd have said no, but tonight I'm saying definitely yes.
Yes, me too. This is firmly, I think I had this pre-rehearsal qualifiers. Yes, I did. And it's still very much there. And wishing the Albanian delegation really well, because I would love Albania to win one day, wouldn't you? I'd love to go to Tirana.
Desperate to go to Tirana, but I'd love to go to Festivali Kungus at some point.
Me
but
too.
Go to Eurovision in Albania would be amazing.
No, I would love to go there. In fact, there's quite a little group of us that keep saying, I'd love to go to the Albanian national final. We're like,
I'm always worried I'm going to get snowed in and be stuck in Tirana for Christmas.
There's worse places, surely.
Well, true.
And Montenegro's next door, so if we do, we can just go to Slappers. We'll be fine.
Absolutely, all fine. Yeah, you can put us up, no problem.
Oh gosh, can he? Goodness. Absolutely could. Right, let's move on to the next rehearsal, which was Portugal. Now, I have said this. I mean, people know I am not generally attuned to the Portuguese sound. Is that a fair way to say it? I think it is. And, going into today, I was like, oh, it's Portugal. I'm sure it's fine. But it won't be anything that I'm that interested in. And then it started. And I was like, oh, maybe I am more interested than I thought I was. What did you make of it?
Yeah, and I'd take a pretty similar view. Portugal, it's never been my favourite Eurovision country for a number of years, not since the early 90s, really. I just failed to kind of really get into a lot of their songs, and this one had really kind of passed me by. I liked their performance. I thought it was very striking in terms of, again, the colour. There's a really good use of colour this year. Sort of the blues and the gold, the oranges, and that sort of cityscape backdrop looked really good. But I still just can't think who's going to be voting for it. The only kind of comparison I think is, remember Armenia a few years ago qualified with Lonely Planet, a similar type of singer, similar type of sort of mid-tempo song that passed people by but ended up looking quite good on TV and attracting enough people to vote for it. It's a classy performance, and Pedro can definitely sing very well. And that, like I say, that transition from the black and white to the colour in the second verse is really effective. I just can't quite see if it's got enough legs to get it into a qualifying spot.
Yeah, I agree with you there. I was talking about it earlier as well, and my thought was I can't quite think that the people who would like this are not the people who are going to be watching the semi-final of Eurovision. I feel like Romania has that same issue as well. The people who will really like that song are not the people who are going to be watching this show. So it's maybe the right song and the right performance, just on the wrong show.
Yeah, and it's not bad by any means.
No, not at all.
Yeah, they prove that they can. They're a decent band and they can sing. But yeah, I agree. I just don't know where those votes would be coming from.
When's the last time we had a guitar solo in the middle of a song though? That's been a while.
Oh God, yeah, definitely.
Was it Ogine? And that was only a really short one.
Yeah. You don't get many guitar solos at Eurovision these days.
No, you don't. So more power to them for that. So, what are you saying then? Is this going to qualify or not qualify?
No, not a qualifier.
No, I suspect that this one is not going to qualify, but I think it's going to come at like 11th or 12th.
Yeah. I think it's not going to come last because no. Poland might have that space reserved. But it's going to do okay, but not enough to get it through to the final. Yeah,
I think so. I think it's going to be one of those ones that sort of misses out, but only narrowly, rather than an absolute flop.
All Out Eurovision.
My pain will soon be over. Oh, how the tables turn. Tears are getting sober. I got some space to grow. Your eyes burn like sugar in my bones. So eyes with bruises. Playing Tetris with my feelings, trying to keep them all inside. Hollow shadows, and my soul is spilling over. I'm out of time. Closing every door, wanna be alone. Lonely is the way that I survive. Sick of wanting more, sitting on the floor, wondering where all my feelings go. Nervous system's aching, growing up is getting old. Don't get it. There's an ocean of emotion that I'm carrying inside. I am cautious, 'cause I've never understood how so much can fit in little me. Star-crossed soul, and I'm used to letting go. Sink deeper in the flow of it. My demons know exactly where my fears are hiding all my tears. I'm torn by nervous systems aching, know that you're worth saving, and getting up is all you got.
So then we move on to Bulgaria, who were next. And there's been, I don't know about you, I haven't seen an awful lot of kind of hints or anything about this. So to me, this was a bit of a mystery as to what Bulgaria were going to do.
Yeah, I guess because their preview video, was very kind of sort of, had a specific theme. And you didn't really get any sense from that what the live performance was going to be like. We didn't really get any sense from their national final, which was sort of an online thing, what it was going to be like. So yeah, it was a surprise for all of us, and it was. I mean, this is not one of my favourite songs this year, but she is definitely a good singer. I loved her song last year. I do think last year she had a better one, so it's a shame we never got to see that. But in terms of the visuals, this was actually one of the strongest. It looked really good on TV. She was perched on this plinth in the rock. Again, really nice sort of blues and oranges. And then was it like waterfall or sand or dust kind of falling kind of around her? Really effective. And yeah, I think they should be happy with their effort today.
I'm really pleased to see Bulgaria sort of come back strong, if you like. They've had an interesting journey with Eurovision Bulgaria. They're very sort of up and down. It's an erratic timeline if you go back and look at it. And I think on the surface, that looks a bit weird, but I think when you begin to understand it, what you understand is that Bulgaria do take risks, and risks don't always pay off, but sometimes they do. And I feel like this was a bit of a risk on a sort of fairly young singer with a sound that is not traditionally associated with Eurovision. I don't want to say a Eurovision song because that doesn't exist. But I think this is a risk that has paid off for Bulgaria, actually. I think this is really, really nice. I'm a bit like you. I found the song okay going into it. There's nothing wrong with it, but it wasn't the sort of thing I would sit down and choose to listen to. But it really did pique my attention as well today.
Yeah, I think because the visuals are very unique, it looks very different to any of the others. It kind of hooks you in as a viewer. So whether even if you're not kind of really warming to the song, or the song may not be sticking out for you, if you're especially if you're just a casual viewer, I know you don't get quite so many in the semi-finals, but you'll remember it when it comes to the recap. You'll remember it when it comes to thinking, oh, I quite like that one. I might vote for that.
Yes, it is very memorable, isn't it?
Yeah.
You think, oh yes, the girl sat on the rock. I remember her. I like that. I'm going to put one of my votes in for that or whatever. So what do you think, Alistair? Is this qualifying or is this not qualifying?
Yeah, this is qualifying. Wouldn't be in my top 10, but I think it's qualifying.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. I think this is a surefire qualifier in the top half of the semi-final as well.
Representing Finland.
Put your middle fingers up, take a shot, throw it up and don't stop. Living that life on the dark side. Every psycho in the scene, hands up and follow me, say it. Empire of the freaks, all drinks, all mine. Just another night in my pitch black paradise. Don't wanna cry, so I gotta get paralyzed. My body is my weapon, so I keep it loaded till I'm all over the place, like my head exploded. Don't waste your prayers, they can't save us. Lifestyles of the sick and dangerous. Put your middle fingers up, take a shot, throw it up and don't stop. Living that life on the dark side. Like a 27 club headshot, we don't wanna grow up. Living that life on the dark side. Life on the dark side. Every psycho in the scene, hands up and follow me, say it. Empire of the freaks, all drinks, all mine. I'm in a cage. Don't waste your prayers, they can't save us. Lifestyles of the sick and dangerous. Put your middle fingers up, take a shot, throw it up and don't stop. Living that life on the dark side. Like a 27 drum headshot, we don't wanna grow up. Living that life on the dark side. Life on the dark side. Every cycle in the scene is don't me say it. Empire of the fleet, all drinks on me.
So after lunch, we moved on to Finland. Alistair, I'm just gonna hand over to you. Finland.
So 20 years ago, almost exactly 20 years ago in early May 2001, I went to see Linkin Park in concert because Linkin Park were one of my favourite bands.
Were they?
So I have to say I'm a little bit biased and I love this. I didn't come away from the end of the performance thinking, wow, that was unexpected, or wow, that was different. You know, they did exactly what you'd expect them to do. It was almost identical to their national final performance, which of course won't mean anything to about 99% of people watching the contest, so that doesn't really matter. But it was good, it was solid. It stands out on stage, and especially coming after Bulgaria, it really wakes you up.
I absolutely agree. And Alistair, I think we are almost exactly the same age, aren't we? I think we are both Jubilee babies, aren't we? 27, or are you a bit younger?
I'm a little younger. I hit the big 40 in just a few days' time.
Oh, do you? Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, do you? Well, happy birthday for that. Okay, well, so we're not the same age exactly, but we are of a similar era. We are of the Linkin Park era, and I too very much liked Linkin Park back in the millennial period. It was wonderful. I never did see them in concert, so you have one up on me there. However, I feel like this song I want it to be Linkin Park and not Blind. What are they called?
Blind Channel.
Blind Channel. I was going to say Blind Side. I knew that was wrong. Blind Channel. Yeah, I'm sort of just disappointed that it's not actually Linkin Park singing it. It's not the kind of music that I listen to. It's not the sort of thing that I tune into anymore. This is not my cup of tea at all. So again, a bit like Portugal, I was a bit like, whatever. I'm not too bothered about it. And I hadn't seen it. I don't think I'd even seen the whole of the national final performance because I didn't watch the Finnish national final this year. So I was a bit like, I'd seen a bit of it and I was like, oh, that's not for me. And I'd sort of written it off. And then when I saw it today, I was like, oh, this is not anywhere near as bad as I sort of thought it was or remembered it being or whatever. So I was, if I'm being honest, pleasantly surprised, really. It does tick all the, Linkin Park rock boxes. It's accessible metal, for want of a better word. I thought it was all right.
Yeah, it does all the right things in all the right places.
Yeah.
If you can describe it like that. I felt it slightly lacked something. I don't know why, and I can't put my finger on what. There were some pyros in the final run through. I think they could probably overplay that a bit more. I think if you're going to have a song like that, just go for it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we remember RVS from Hungary 3 years ago. And they were just like, what fire do you want? Yes, please. Well, okay. The only thing they didn't have that, was on the pyro menu was the curtain. Yeah. They had everything else. And I feel like the Blind Channel could, Finland are not a poor country. They can stump up for a bit more pyro. Put a bit more petrol in the cans, lads.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
I don't think stage pyro actually uses petrol, just saying. That would be quite dangerous, but so what do you think? Is this qualifying?
I think so. Yeah. Put me on the spot. It's a definite yes.
Yeah, I think it is. We've seen songs like this come through the ranks before. They're not commonplace, but they do pop up.
Yeah, and I think that's why they come through the rankings, because they're not commonplace. Rock, even the very poppy end of rock, which this is, is not a big genre at Eurovision. It'll be interesting to know if it does make it to the final, how people then compare it to the Italian song, which is a much more contemporary rock song.
Yes, it very much is. I'm interested to see that as well, and I think that when it gets to the grand final, it will just fade into the shadow of Italy, to be honest.
Yeah.
And like I said, we've just kind of seen that happen with songs like this before. They do get a little bit of a swelling from the fans, which does help them, get through the semi-final, and then by the Saturday night crowd are the ones who are, you know, sitting in their living rooms with their mates having a drink, well, not with their mates this year, having a drink, dressed up in, you know, flags with bunting hanging off the light shades and stuff. They're not interested in Linkin Park old, you know.
Yeah, they want a Euro banger.
Yeah, they do. Exactly that. They want Euphoria.
Yeah.
And this is not Euphoria. But they seem like nice lads. I've seen some of their interviews they've done. They seem like nice lads. Good luck to them. I wish them well.
I'm always a fan of Finland at Eurovision, one of my favourite countries. So they get extra points there just for being from Finland.
Just for being Finnish.
Yeah.
I mean, to be fair, we have to remember what Finland's one and only win is.
Of course, they've got pedigree there.
Therefore, we expect that Finland will bring something
Absolutely
a bit different and a bit rockier and a bit, you know, a bit like this. This feels very Finnish to me.
Oh yes. If you were kind of, you know, to transport someone into a bubble and say, listen to this song, which country is this from? I think most fans would know straight off. Yeah, that's got to be Finland.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, let's move on to Latvia, to the Queen of the Night, Samantha Gina. I mean, she's a character, isn't she?
Oh yes, I'm not a fan of this song. I'm sorry, I wasn't a fan of the song last year, and not a fan of the song this year. It's one of my two least favourites. But you know, she can definitely sing. Vocals didn't give any cause for concern. Okay. My kind of one problem with this one actually today is, look, I don't like it. I think it's a bit bonkers. The performance was actually a little more pedestrian than I expected. I actually expected it to be a bit more out there. I mean, you had the backing singers with the visors, that they've made a return from 2020, which is good. But it felt like she's just sort of strutting around the stage, belting it out. It lacked that slight quirky bonkersness that I was expecting it to have.
Yeah, I agree. A bit like Moldova, really, yesterday.
Yes, similar.
But I do think that both Moldova and Latvia, as we're talking about now, I feel like they were very much pace and place rehearsals.
Yeah, something's coming, isn't it, in the next run through?
I do think so. Whether they have pyro or not, we seem to have seen those countries that are using pyro have already used them, at least for the sort of their last run on their first rehearsal. So I'm not convinced that we're going to get any more pyro added to the mix this year. But maybe we are. Sometimes people don't use it at the first rehearsal. They'll wait until the second rehearsal to use it because it's expensive.
Yes.
But that also suggests to me that Moldova or Latvia don't have it because it is expensive. And these are two countries that don't have a massive, huge budget to be able to come and do Eurovision, which is a shame because both those songs could benefit from a bit of fire, to be honest.
They just need something to lift the performance a bit. It looked fine. Like I say, she's a very good singer, but it was lacking the slight bonkers factor that I wanted it to have, because even though I don't like it, I kind of wanted it to have that slightly out there feel.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, again, anyone who knows me will know that I will celebrate her wearing green because,
yes, you do like the green.
I'm very much into anybody wearing green. That's why I loved Portugal 2 years ago, because they were dressed in green. I did end up loving the song as well. But, when I saw them walk on the stage and they were wearing green, I was like, oh, there's my boys here. Exactly. So she, of course, gets huge points from me for the green dress, which I do think looks great on her. But I'm a bit like you. It's just a bit lacking in something, but I hope that is to come in the second rehearsal. It might be that what it's lacking, and I feel like this is true for some of the others as well, it's lacking an audience.
Yeah, it's quite noticeable, isn't it? That sort of empty arena they're performing to.
Yeah, and we're used to seeing rehearsals done, in an arena with only, a few tech people standing who can applaud it at the end. But it'll be interesting to see how some of these songs that we have been talking about, how they do change once you've got the audience in the arena.
Yeah, because sometimes that reaction from the audience, I was thinking that today actually, because you get to the end of the rehearsal and then the feed just cuts, and I think you need that sort of few seconds afterwards to kind of, the camera then sweeps across the crowd and you see the reaction. That can almost then lift you as a viewer to think, actually, yeah, that is really good.
Yeah, absolutely.
You don't get that. It's very cold kind of, right, cut, that's the ending.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be interesting to see how they do that. I mean, they've got their socially distanced, 3,500 strong audience.
Yeah.
And of course, the floor of the arena is the green room, the entire floor. So the cheering crowd, for people who haven't sort of seen and know what's going to happen, the cheering crowd, if you like, the flag wavers, are in the stadium seating around the edge of the arena, and then the stage and the green room is going to take up the entire floor of the arena. It's a huge stage, it's a huge arena. So that's going to be interesting as well, how they're getting shots through the green room. Are they going to do that? Are they going to have cameras up in the stands? I'm interested to see how that's all going to work.
Yeah, not long now till we find out.
Absolutely. So Latvia, are they qualifying or not?
No.
I agree.
Representing Switzerland.
Et c'est le vent qui frôle sa main sur mon épaule, le vide dans ma tête, pas la moindre cachette. C'est l'aube qui décline derrière un champ de ruines, le moment de grandir, ne pas te retenir. Je vois derrière nous des morceaux de toi, et ce que la douleur a fait de moi. Tout l'univers, nos deux cœurs sous la terre. Au milieu des failles où tout éclate, se trouver un point d'impact. Sans toi, que deviendront nos souffles s'ils restent sur le bord? Cet amour qui nous tord. Je vois derrière nous des morceaux de toi, et ce que la douleur a fait de moi. Tout l'univers, nos deux cœurs sous la terre, au milieu des failles tout éclate, se trouver un point d'impact. Sans toi, derrière mes paupières, trouver de l'air. Au milieu des failles, des ressacs, nous nous retrouvons au point d'impact, comme un solide qui éclate. Tout l'univers.
So this is our penultimate, isn't it? Yes,
It
our
is, yes,
penultimate
isn't
of
it?
the day. There's been so many rehearsals. I can't. Our penultimate of the day is Switzerland. John's Tears. Now I'm going to let you go because I've got to think of something to say about this.
So this is my second favourite song of the whole contest. Absolutely love it.
What's your
Really-
favourite out of interest?
We'll be talking about it in a very few
Oh,
moments'
will we?
time.
Oh, yes. Oh, I knew that. Oh, dear. Okay, carry on.
So I've got my two favourites right at the end of the second
Great.
semi-final. So yeah, I mean he is a fabulous singer. He can do it live. I know kind of doing a falsetto can grate on some people, but I think he carries it off and manages to hold those notes for the whole 3 minutes. Staging looks good. That sort of dark backdrop and a real kind of dramatic light show towards the end. What I kind of found odd was his sort of Eric Sada-esque type movements on stage. He was sort of jerking and writhing around and doing things with his arms, and it just was a bit distracting. I just didn't think it needed that at all, because he doesn't need that. It's a good song in its own right, and he's a good singer. It was kind of like just rein it in a bit, John. Rein it in.
Okay, great. This is one of my least favourite songs of the contest. There has to be one or two that we disagree on.
Absolutely.
Every year, Alistair, or Polarity of the Universe would be
Exactly.
And there's two that we disagree on, and we're going to talk about the next one.
Quite soon.
Yeah. So this is one of my least favourite songs. I find it incredibly dull. It just has nothing in it that grabs me and makes me think, oh yes, I want to listen to that again. I felt like here's what I feel like it is. I feel like it's Duncan Lawrence's Arcade, our current, winner, with the staging of Bulgaria's Beautiful Mess. I feel like it's a hybrid of those two. And both those songs did very well. Clearly, one won and one came second. So I can't fault them for looking at, what is appealing to the voting audiences of Europe. However, it just feels a bit something and nothing to me. I just don't get it.
I mean, I did prefer his song last year, so he's gone all the way from being my favourite in the contest to the second favourite. I was talking about this with someone today, and we were trying to work out, are people going to make a comparison with Arcade? Or, it won 2 years ago. I know it's kind of a bit of a second lease of life through TikTok, but are we as kind of fans in the bubble in danger of, making easy comparisons? Because you're right, it is a bit of a hybrid of those two, or will the viewers and the jurors on the Saturday night or the Thursday night just think, actually, it's a good song with a good singer?
Yes, that's exactly what they'll think. And I don't think that it's going to make a massive difference either way. For me, I don't particularly like it because of that. But I don't think it's going to make people go, oh, yes, this is just like Arcade, I must vote for it. But it's not going to make them go, oh, this is just like Arcade, I'm not going to vote for it. I struggle to see a pattern anywhere in the contest history, at least in the last 30 years, where the two winners side by side have been very similar. They've always been quite different. You sort of think about, just even in recent years, Jamala to Salvador to Netta to Duncan. That's not a pattern running through that says, oh yes, we should do.
Yeah, this is the in style at the moment to be sending a song in. Yeah, exactly.
But having said that, we've never had a 2-year gap before. So, all bets are off on that score because we don't know.
Yeah.
Because if you go back and look at every other year, you do begin to find, not the same, you can begin to see some similarities. Conchita's big kind of dramatic storytelling. 2 years later, you've got Jamala's big, different songs, different styles, with big dramatic storytelling.
We'll see. We'll see. I mean, Arcade still probably my favourite Eurovision winner ever. So
really?
I'm biased. I know. I love a moody male ballad.
I thought you were with me in the Molitva camp.
That's my second favourite. That was my favourite winner until Arcade came along.
Oh, okay, fine. So Switzerland, I feel like I don't need to ask this question. Is Switzerland qualifying, Alistair?
In all the multiple languages they speak in Switzerland, yes.
Yes, da. No, da is Serbian. Ja is German.
There we are.
Oh gosh. Yeah, absolutely. I actually think this is going to win the semi-final.
Quite possibly, given its place in the running order. You might be right there.
Second to last. It's got a lot of fan love behind it. He's a charming chap. He looks good on screen.
Yeah, he comes across as a likeable person.
Yeah, he does. The juries will like this, and the televoters will like it as well. So, as the semi-final goes, I think this is our winner of semi-final 2. So, go on then, Denmark.
Oh, I love this so much.
Go on.
Oh, this is just brilliant. I mean, I love 80s music anyway. And this isn't even hiding it's an 80s pastiche. It is just, it's out and out there 80s. And there's been far too much blue and pink on the stage over the last few days. But this one, if you're going to paint it any colour, it's got to be, shocking blue and neon pink. And they just throw the 80s over this performance in absolute buckets, and I love them for it. And he did a good vocal performance, I thought, better than in Melody Grand Prix. And I just think this is such a great song to end the semi-final with. It just stands out. It's brilliant.
Okay.
As you can tell, I quite like it. And it's lovely to hear Danish at Eurovision. Not heard it for, over 20 years.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, here's the good points. Danish Eurovision, that's good. I always like when a country brings, even if not an entire song in one of their national languages, part of the song in the national language. And this is all entirely in Danish, and that I will absolutely celebrate that. Jesper, is he the lead singer?
Yeah.
Yeah. Is a great vocalist. He's got a really nice voice. He's got a really easy, listenable voice. We've got other great vocalists like John, who we've just spoken about from Switzerland, like Vasil from North Macedonia. Both really, really good, strong male vocalists, but you sort of have to stop and listen to them. Whereas this is much more of a natural sort of kind of voice quality. Yeah. I feel like it's a really kind of easy listening voice, and I like that about him. I might have run out of things to say.
Go on, move on to the negatives.
I mean, it's almost everything that you say as a positive, I see as like, oh God, do we really want an 80s throwback? I mean, I would have said up until the ridiculous rehearsal that Poland had yesterday, that Poland had the better 80s throwback song. In the recorded version, that might be true, but in the live version, that is not true at all. For me, this is in direct competition with the Roop from Finland, because we get these like little intra competitions that happen within the contest. So you've got, who's your best male solo, who's your best girl group, who's your best, this year female lead with 4 backing dancers. Where are the little competitions that happen within the contest? And for me, this is in competition with the Roop, which is kind of ironic because the Roop have opened it all up. And the what are they called? Fyra Flammer, that's them. As you know, I don't speak.
Don't pick me up on my Danish.
Sorry
if I've offended the Danes.
It's fine. And like they're closing the semi-finals.
Yeah.
So I feel like there is quite a nice kind of
sort of bookends, doesn't it?
Yeah. The semi-finals are bookend nicely this year. I don't know. I felt like the pyro at the end was a bit rubbish.
That was a bit underwhelming. That
it was sort of like
didn't really add anything.
It's one of those pyros that we talk about. It's like, oh, that's not enough to light a barbecue,
Yeah.
So if you're going to do it, then do it. If you're not, then don't. don't just kind of light half a candle. Hope that'll do. So I find it all just a bit disappointing. I think it could be bigger.
What could they do differently? That's the question. What would make it not disappointing for you?
They could be the Roop. That would be not disappointing if they were actually the Roop. I think they could make it bigger. I think it's a bit too calm. Like if it's 80s, like go the full 80s, put a filter on the cameras so you get like an old VHS style filter. Yeah. Like, you know what Estonia did in 2017 when everyone was saying about how Verona was like an 80s, and they went and did like a complete Stock Aitken and Waterman style 80s remix of it. And it's brilliant. So that's what I feel like I'd like them to do. Like, as I say, put an old VHS filter on it and dress more 80s. Like, it should be a shell suit. Although there's pyro, they can't be in a shell suit because they catch fire.
That could be rather unfortunate.
Very dangerous. But I do feel like if you're going to do it, just go all in and do it.
There's just a little hint of it's a couple of mates having a laugh on stage, there, which is both its endearing thing, but also potentially its letdown. Yeah,
do you know what it feels like? And you'll appreciate this because you know and love and run Eurobash. It feels like they should be 2 fans on Eurobash, not the actual artist on the stage. It feels like a Eurobash cover of something that happened before.
Yeah, I can see that. That's not harsh. It's probably quite fair, actually.
But then you know and love Eurobash, which will be why you like it.
And I can guarantee someone is going to dress up in a pink jacket over a white T-shirt at Eurobash this year. They're bound to.
That's okay, because I am preparing my Destiny costume. I've got my boots ready to go. Right, Denmark, qualifying or not?
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. I may not like it and want to never hear it again after the contest, but it's easily qualifying.
Yeah, definitely.
Great. So 3 questions in roundup, Alistair. What today has been the one rehearsal that took you by surprise? What has been your
Albania.
Yeah. Absolutely. I would. Am I going to say Albania? No, I'm going to say Finland, because I really thought it was rubbish and I was really surprised to discover that it's not. What has been your standout rehearsal of the day?
For all its criticisms, I still love it, so I'm going to say Switzerland.
Okay, cool. Mine is going to be Albania. Now this doesn't have to be within the rehearsals as such, it could be anything really, anything in life. What has made you smile today, Alistair?
Oh, that's a good question. What has made me smile? That little jump Jesper does onto the raised platform towards the end of the song, and part of me thinking, please don't fall over, please don't fall over. I think it's more a smile of relief that he makes it.
Okay, fair enough. That's a good one. Mine is going to come not from the contest, or the bits that have been going on stage. I've been following the content that Eurovision.tv, the official website, have been putting up, and I've been following the Look Labs with Nikki tutorials.
Yes.
And I don't know if you've seen any of them yet, but the one with Manisha from Russia is just glorious, and it made me smile so much. And the one with Chisse from
yes, I saw
Sweden
the
as well.
One. Yeah,
both of those two just made me smile so much. They were absolutely brilliant interviews. She's such a great interviewer. Really good. I'm really enjoying that.
Yeah, no, she's it's been a good addition to the overall package of what we're getting this year. She's been great.
Absolutely has. I agree, and I think she's having the time of her life as well. She certainly appears to be. Alistair, thank you so much for joining me today for this rehearsal rundown. Now, we did say at the beginning you are president of OGAE. If anybody wanted to dive in and become an official fan of the contest, where can they find us?
So you can pop on to the website www.ogae.uk, click on become a member. The rest is your future life taking on a new path.
Isn't it just? I did that once, and I'm now a member of OGAE. And do you know what it's given me, Alistair? It's given me a whole bunch of really cool friends that I really love hanging out with. So
yeah, absolutely.
I really enjoy being a member. I can't think I would ever not be a member now that I am one. So I would encourage everybody to do that. OGAE.uk, and you can find the details there. Thank you so much for joining me, Alistair. You've got a busy week, as have I, looking at all the rehearsals and press conferences and everything that's going on. Where will you be for the grand final?
The grand final, I shall be at the RVT in London, where Eurofest, which is another hat I wear, the club night I run, we are doing a screening, and we'll have the lovely Nikki French coming to perform, and it'll be a chance to catch up with people who I've not seen for over a year, so I can't wait. Even though I'd rather be in Rotterdam, but second best.
Well, wouldn't we all? I should be in Essex, so there you go.
Excellent.
There's no comparison to that. Thanks everyone for joining us for the rehearsal rundown. I will catch you again in the next show. Thanks for joining us.
Representing Denmark.
Tiden går i stå. Hvad det vi venter på? Dine øjne siger det samme.